Welcome to the Prophecy Club. Today we're going to be talking about prophecy in the mouth of 2 or 3 witnesses. Here's what Dana Coverston said yesterday.
December 16th, on a Monday night, I had that first part of the dream. And in that dream, I saw a calendar. And the calendar started in January, it was 2020, and the calendar flipped January, February, got to March, and I saw a finger, kind of like many tickle you farson, the prophecy, the event from Daniel, where a finger just came and just underlined the name March and then tapped it 3 times. Well, if the symbol for therefore is 3 dots, so it was like one of those emphasizes. March is emphasized. Then I saw April, May, and June. And in June, I saw another emphasis, underlying, and tapped it 3 times. And that's when in the dream, and it was a dream, I saw people wearing masks. I saw lines at hospitals. I saw people who were protesting, marching. I saw buildings on fire. I saw looting. I saw people in desperate people. I saw people hiding in their homes. But the protests were really one of the big things that I saw. But I saw the kind of mask that people are wearing now, for COVID. Last Monday night, I had a dream, and in the dream, I saw the calendar. I saw June, and then it went July, August, September. And when it hit September, I saw the same hand I'd seen in December underline the month of September, and then it flipped October, and then it flipped November. And that's when the dream really took on a whole new schism, so to speak. I saw the index finger underline the word November. It didn't tap it. At that time, I saw a fist ball up, and it hit. It just hit the calendar. It was almost as if the calendar went flying back into the wall. I saw the numbers that had been posted on the little blocks of the calendar. I saw those numbers just fly into the air. And immediately, I saw the same type of scenes that I was seeing from the dream back in December, but it was more intense. I saw Russian and Chinese troops. I saw men wearing blue. It didn't say UN on them, but the blue helmets are typically United Nations type of things. But I saw looting, and I saw burning, and I saw mass absolute chaos. I see people running. I saw and heard in my vision and dream gunfire, constant gunfire. I saw people now hiding in their homes, looking out the windows in a dark room with a gun in their hand and looking back to check on their families and things like that. But I saw people everywhere. I saw capitals surrounded. I saw state houses, state capitals surrounded. I saw people screaming and making demands that were almost just outrageous. In the dream back in December, I had seen vultures over major cities, including especially Washington, D.C. And I saw the Washington Monument. I saw the Lincoln Memorial. I saw the White House. And I saw that all the curtains were pulled in the White House, especially in the Oval Office, and everything in the sky was dark. And it wasn't like a storm. It was almost as if it was nighttime. As I looked at the White House, the windows were shut, saw nobody moving around. Then I had a picture of inside the actual Oval Office. And here's what I saw, because I've had a lot of folks that have, I said when I posted this that I didn't see Trump. And my reference to that wasn't support or lack of support for the president. I was just simply stating the fact that I saw no one in that office. No one was sitting in the seat. There was no cabinet members there. There was no secretary. There was nobody in that room. In other words, what it said to me was, at this moment, we were leaderless. And that's the thing that stood out to me. It wasn't that I saw the flags. In the Oval Office was the Resolute desk, which has some pretty historical significance, the one that Kennedy had sat at. So I'm not even sure if Donald Trump uses that in the office or what desk he has, but I saw that desk and I saw nobody sitting at it. The other thing that flashed through my mind at that moment was I saw a long conference table, and I saw, and I'm going to be very specific about this, I saw senators. I did not see Congress. I did not see anybody in the leadership. I saw members of the Senate. It was just the Senate. I'm not going to say specifically who I saw, but I recognized the faces, would know the names. And I saw them sitting in a room that was very peaceful. There was no rush or no panic. Even though outside in the windows of that room, I could see there were fires burning. There was chaos outside. These men were very, very resolute. They were very, very patient. They were looking at their watches. They were in no hurry. And the other thing that I saw on the table that stands out to me as well was briefcases. Now, in our day and age, briefcases are not even, they're a thing of the past. But I saw piles, stacks and stacks and stacks and piles of briefcases on this long conference table where these men were talking about. I also saw a former senator who was out of the Dakota area, so to speak, and I saw him handing folders. Now, I don't know what was in these file folders. They were sealed with a clasp. He was pushing these file folders to different ones of those senators. And they were folding it up, putting it in those briefcases, and then locking everything. But once again, they weren't in a hurry to get anywhere. After that scene hit, I began to see more chaos in the skies, just terrible things, the signs and wonders in the heavens.
Okay, now let's see how this fits in with other prophecies. He said there was going to be COVID in March. He was shown June there's going to be masks, riots, protests, marchings, buildings on fire, looting, people hiding in their own homes. I don't know if you saw that clip about the family that had to come out with an armed weapon at his front door because people were threatening to break into not only his home, but every home up and down the block. Refresh your memory. The fall of America will start with an internal revolution in America started by the communists. Also, refresh your memory. Israel refuses help to America. Catastrophe hits America. Omar ushers in Palestinian state. One of America's greatest times of need. Israel's attacked. America sends troops. Chaos reigns as Americans protest help to Israel. Then she heard my voice quoting Dimitri, the fall of America would start with an internal revolution. Now, with those backgrounds, who else is saying the kind of things that Dana Coverston is saying? On May 27th, 2016, in my prayer closet, I asked the Lord, thank you so much for giving us the prophecies of the future, but I need an overview from now until Inauguration Day, which was what I was asking. This was May 27th of 2016. Well, I got much more than that. So the next morning, May 28th, 2016, Pastor Massey called. He said, I had a dream last night, very powerful dream, but I don't understand it. I said, tell me. Well, he only got the first sentence or two out, and I said, I know what this is about. This is an overview of the future, because this is exactly what I prayed would be shown to me by you, so God sent the dream to you at my request, meaning now we have in the mouth of 2 or 3 witnesses because I prayed for it, and I said specifically that God would give it to Pastor Massey, and he got it. Now, let's look at that overview in light of what Dana Coverston is saying. He said the first thing he saw is we were plowing. Very nice things happening, good things, like 7 years of plenty. I believe that that's probably what we're in the process of right now. Then the next segment was we came home. Someone dropped off 2 children at my house. One girl thought that we were the best person to take care of their children. They were scared that they would have no food. There was no food where they were living. The third segment was I was sitting there and someone came to my home to hurt these children. They said, let me talk to you. I said, well, before I talk to you, let me get my gun because I don't want to talk to you without my gun. So I got my gun, loaded it with 3 cartridges, and talked with them. That may be saying that we're getting pretty close to that segment right now. Now, we haven't had food problems, but of course, COVID kind of started to cause some food problems, as you recall, and Trump signed an executive order saying that the food places that were cutting up the chickens and like were not going to be able to close because they had COVID. So actually the first 2 of those may very well have already been fulfilled. It may be that we're now coming up to the gun thing. There was a main road by my house. I saw like a herd of people walking down this road, so many people, like a herd of cows or sheep. The road was packed. They were close together like sardines. My guess is that that's probably people leaving America like rats leaving a sinking ship, or you might say people leaving a nation that's in the process of falling. Then the final segment was I saw that they began to get chopped up. Only a few of them were like 1 or 2 people out of 1,000 were spared. I saw this chopper, this some kind of a chopping machine, chopping them in half, chopping off their heads. I saw, whoa, this must be the end time. And only a few people were spared, and we went into hiding. So there's 5 segments he saw. First was very nice things. Well, that sort of defines the last 3 years. Then there was a food shortage, and it may be that Trump was able to avoid that. The next thing is you got to have a gun to be safe. The next thing was people were leaving the nation, walking out on foot. And 5th was the tribulation. Now let's go to something else. Hold that in mind there. Now let's go to Shane Warren. And I'm going to give you a brief overview of this because it would take me too long to read besides I already read all of this several times. July 10, 2012, Pastor Shane Warren spoke at Prophecy Club. He said essentially he was looking at a television and all of a sudden it turned into a vision of the future. The weather broadcast was a giant storm hitting America. Now, we didn't know what that was now, but have we just been hit by a giant storm all across America? I would say it's probably COVID. And in the middle of this storm, he also saw that there is a giant earthquake that hit in the center of the nation. Well, as of today, July 1, Israel is supposed to be voting on whether they're going to annex part of the West Bank. Now, I don't know what God is going to call us splitting Israel. I don't know if that's going to be what he's going to consider it. I mean, so if Israel agrees to part, some, or maybe all of Trump's deal of the century, is that what God is going to call splitting our nation? And as you recall, I've got 12 people that says that America is split because we split Israel. So here we are. It's possible. That's the point I'm trying to say. It's possible that we could see the newspaper headline in the next week or so that says Omer ushers in Palestinian state. We don't know what the Omer is. We do know that there's a guy out there by the name of Ehud Olmert that is really pushing hard, trying to give the Palestinians a state. He thinks he's doing good, but what he would be doing is splitting Israel, and then God would split America. Okay, so let's back up. First thing he saw was worthless dollars blowing in the wind, which was a big storm. Well, we haven't seen the worthless dollars yet. However, by the way, I've got like 3 emails in the last 24 hours. Many people are saying that the coins, nickels, dimes, quarters, things like that, are drying up all across America. Many of the places are saying we can't give you change now because we don't have the coins. Well, again, that's probably part of what that final wakeupcall.info is saying about a new financial system coming into place. That's all part of it. That might be part of worthless dollars blowing like worthless leaves in the wind. Then the earthquake. The next thing he saw was the worthless dollars were caused by some sort of oil for gold exchange that we really haven't heard. We heard a little bit about it, but not too much. Then there was an internal revolution. Now, let's get to that point because this sounds a lot like what Pastor Dana was told. He says the devaluing of the dollar caused major rioting in the streets. Well, we're seeing major rioting, but it wasn't because of the dollar. I saw silver, not gold, begin to drastically increase in value. I saw riots break out in major cities all across America. Well, we are there right now. People were rioting in the streets, and on their signs was written, "Give us our entitlements, give us our entitlements." That may be still coming, but certainly part of it has already arrived. I saw demonstrations, violence in the streets. Wherever these things were lost because there's not enough money to keep up to subsidies. Well, again, maybe that's part of that's still coming. Now, let's get to the point. At the same time, I saw the church arise with healing in their wings for this moment, and we've read that before, so I'll skip into that. Now I want to go back to the second dream that Pastor Dana had.
Last Monday night, I had a dream, and in the dream, I saw the calendar. I saw June, and it went July, August, September. And when it hit September, I saw the same hand I'd seen in December underline the month of September, and then it flipped October, and then it flipped November. And that's when the dream really took on a whole new schism, so to speak. I saw the index finger underline the word November. It didn't tap it. At that time, I saw a fist ball up, and it hit. It just hit the calendar. It was almost as if the calendar went flying back into the wall. I saw the numbers that had been like posted on the little blocks of the calendar. I saw those numbers just fly into the air. And immediately, I saw the same type of scenes that I was seeing from the dream back in December, but it was more intense. I saw Russian and Chinese troops. I saw men wearing blue. It didn't say UN on them, but the blue helmets are typically United Nations type of things. But I saw looting, and I saw burning, and I saw mass absolute chaos. I see people running. I saw and heard in my vision and dream gunfire, constant gunfire. I saw people now hiding in their homes, looking out the windows in a dark room with a gun in their hand and looking back to check on their families and things like that. But I saw people everywhere. I saw capitals surrounded. I saw state houses, state capitals surrounded. I saw people screaming and making demands that were almost just outrageous. In the dream back in December, I had seen vultures over major cities, including especially Washington, D.C. And I saw the Washington Monument. I saw the Lincoln Memorial. I saw the White House. And I saw that all the curtains were pulled in the White House, especially in the Oval Office, and everything in the sky was dark. And it wasn't like a storm. It was almost as if it was nighttime. As I looked at the White House, the windows were shut, saw nobody moving around. Then I had a picture of inside the actual Oval Office. And here's what I saw, because I've had a lot of folks that have And, I said when I posted this that I didn't see Trump. And my reference to that wasn't support or lack of support for the president. I was just simply stating the fact that I saw no one in that office. No one was sitting in the seat. There was no cabinet members there. There was no secretary. There was nobody in that room. In other words, what it said to me was, at this moment, we were leaderless. And that's the thing that stood out to me. It wasn't that I saw the flags. In the Oval Office was the Resolute desk, which has some pretty historical significance, the one that Kennedy had sat at. So I'm not even sure if Donald Trump uses that in the office or what desk he has, but I saw that desk and I saw nobody sitting at it. The other thing that flashed through my mind at that moment was I saw a long conference table, and I'm going to be very specific about this, I saw senators. I did not see Congress. I did not see anybody in the leadership. I saw members of the Senate. It was just the Senate. I'm not going to say specifically who I saw, but I know that I recognized the faces, would know the names, and I saw them sitting in a room that was very peaceful. There was no rush or no panic, even though outside in the windows of that room, I could see there were fires burning. There was chaos outside. These men were very, very resolute. They were very, very patient. They were looking at their watches. They were in no hurry. And the other thing that I saw on the table that stands out to me as well was briefcases. Now, in our day and age, briefcases are not even, they're a thing of the past. But I saw piles, stacks and stacks and stacks and piles of briefcases on this long conference table where these men were talking about. I also saw a former senator who was out of the Dakota area, so to speak, and I saw him handing folders. Now, I don't know what was in these file folders. They were sealed with a clasp. He was pushing these file folders to different ones of those senators, and they were folding it up, putting it in those briefcases, and then locking everything. But once again, they weren't in a hurry to get anywhere. After that scene hit, I began to see more chaos in the skies, just terrible things, the signs and wonders in the heavens.
Okay, so what's going on? Let's refresh. In September, he said he saw the fist hit it, and he said he saw Russian and Chinese. Now, you've heard me say that the prophecies say that Chinese are not going to attack us, and I don't believe it was the Chinese. My suspicion is it was probably the North Koreans. But nevertheless, I don't know. But I can just tell you that I believe what Dimitri said more than anybody, except the Bible, of course. And he said that God would raise up China, Japan, and many of the nations that would go against the Russians. So in the future, the Chinese are going to be our side. However, it does concern me that the Russians are there. In that the Russians there, the blue helmets or the blue hats are there. A lot of what he's saying there sounds like the Russians have attacked there. And I don't want to believe that. I want to believe that we can pray. Matter of fact, we better be praying all this way. Matter of fact, I just said to a friend of mine, I said, it's like we are where Nineveh was when Jonah started walking into the city. In other words, Jonah at that point didn't understand that she was in trouble with God, and that's where America is. But the difference is Nineveh, from the king down, fasted for 3 days and repented and asked God to forgive them. And as a result, instead of 40 days destruction, they were destroyed in 40 years. It was delayed. But I don't see any sign that there's anybody going to church more, anybody doing anything more about getting the sin out of this nation. I'm talking about this nation as a whole. Again, Revelation 18 says that we are the habitation of devils, the hold of every foul spirit, and the cage of every unclean and hateful bird. Now, before all of these George Floyd protests popped up, I'd have said, nah, we're not that bad yet. No, not bad. Well, now, looking at the nightly news, all you got to do is watch it, and you'll have to say, yep, habitation of devils, hold of every foul spirit, and a cage of every unclean and hateful bird. So, to me, now please, I'm not trying to put words in Dana's mouth. I'm not trying to give an inaccurate interpretation. I'm trying to look at this in light of the Bible and what the other holy prophets and servants of God have said. And to me, it sounds like if it's not the internal revolution started, it's certainly very close to it, especially when you have blue hats there, Russians and Chinese soldiers. That sounds to me like there's probably martial laws have been declared, and if the Russians haven't attacked yet, it sounds like it is very, very close. Now, there's a couple of things I need to say about that. One is, I'm not going to tell you what to do, but I'm going to say I'm glad that I've done a few things. I'm glad that I have my freezer with plenty of potassium iodate pills in case there's a suitcase nuke goes off anywhere close to me. I'm glad that I live in Texas and I have a few of them shooting orange, where if someone does think that they want to come in my house and hurt me and my family, they will wish that they had not thought about that. Again, I'm not suggesting you hurt anyone. As you know, I'm a soul winner. I'm I'm a watchman. I want to see people saved. I don't want to see them hurt. But on the other hand, it's like a police officer buddy of mine once said, if someone's got to go to the grand jury, let it be me, not the other guy. In other words, if two people are going to be falling, I want it to be the other person and not me. You understand what I'm saying? Again, I'm not suggesting violence be done in any way. What I am suggesting is now's the time, brothers and sisters, we better be on our knees. We better be fasting and praying for this nation, that we will, as a nation, get by, given a little softening and a delay, and also personally. Okay, so let's go on to the rest of the things he said. So he saw blue helmets. He saw chaos everywhere. He heard constant gunfire. Constant gunfire. Constant gunfire? Really? I mean, we hear that like in 4th of July, which, by the way, apparently there is a plot out there for a bunch of people to be killed on, about, or around 4th of July by some of these street thugs, thinking that all of the other neighbors will think, oh, well, it's just fireworks. And it's not fireworks. It's actually some of their neighbors being killed. So just be heads up on that, too. And by the way, as far as Dana, I want to say thank you to all the people that sent his Facebook and his YouTube clip of those prophecies. I think I'm up to like 16 different emails. It's like from all kinds of directions all over the nation. People send me email. You got to hear this guy. You got to see this. Watch this guy. And so thank you. It's good to know that we have ears out there, to people that are listening, that are going to report it to me. So thank you very much. askstan@prophecyclub.com. Okay, so he also said he saw that the Capitol and the state houses were surrounded. Okay, that sounds like protests, but that sounds like an internal revolution to me. So at the very least, it may not be the Russians attacking it. I hope it's not, but I'm going to throw some ideas at you there in just a second. It may not be. I hope it's not, but it certainly sounds like the internal revolution is just around the corner. He also said he saw no one in leadership. I want to believe that that is not saying that we don't have leadership. I want to believe that that's because leadership has now gone down into the underground bunkers for safety. And that's what I'd like to think, is that the Russians are our friends. Yeah, good luck with that. And the Chinese, and somehow the people that he sees there are actually helping protect our nation, that there is an internal revolution going on, but the foreign troops we see in this dream is actually people there to help. I want to believe that the president has won the election one way or the other, whether the Republicans win or whether the Democrats win in November, on about November 3rd or shortly after that. When the election takes place, we're probably going to see the start of the internal revolution. Whether the Dems win or the Republicans win, I think we can pretty much count that an internal revolution is coming in November. He saw September is a fist. He thought that was probably another virus. Well, we do know that Sundar Selvaraj was told that another virus is coming that's going to make this one look like a picnic. Also, I had the dream about two men get on a plane with a virus. Before the plane can land, everyone on board will be dead. That's not COVID-19. That's something that hits more deadly and more quickly than COVID-19. So I'd say that my best guess is probably September. That's just a guess. Probably that's another virus. That's what he says. However, it also could be these sealed indictments, which the count is up to now 176,436 sealed indictments. My guess is that probably in September that the arrests have become large enough and numerous enough and public enough to where finally it has to come out. And it does come out that some of these big name people, a lot of people that people really, really love, well-known people, singers, actors, congressmen, have all been arrested. That could be what's causing the problems in September. Then November, I think probably it has to be the election. What if this thing in July, let's say that Israel does vote for something and it does split Israel. So let's say that Israel is split, America is split, and all of a sudden these prophecies, these headlines that Leslie were given begin to come to pass. And here we are in November as soon as the internal revolution. So, I mean, what if America is taken out in 2021? All right, now that brings us back to the crusade. I believe God has ordained me to do crusades, not radio, not books. I mean, what he has told me is the thing that he's called me to do is crusades, sports stadiums filled with people coming out of their stands, falling on their face, tears in their eyes, giving their heart to Jesus. I'm going to need some people helping me at those crusades. And that means everything from ushers all the way to people to lay hands on and pray for people. If you want to be a part of the Great Awakening, the great end-time movement of God, if you want to be part of seeing sevenfold miracles, being able to give an answer, to teach Bible prophecy, then here's what you do. Lord, I want to go. I believe you're speaking my heart to go to that crusade. I ask you to provide the ways and the means for me to go. And then you go to sevenfoldmiraclecrusades.com and you get signed up. Speaking of which, I've been asked to tell you, yes, Crusade A is full, but we're having another one right behind that, Crusade B. Crusade A, full, July 29 to August 2. Crusade B still has room available. It's August 2 to 6. August 2 to 6. You go to sevenfoldmiraclecrusades.com. We're asking everyone to fast 3 consecutive days. Why? Because that's going to prove to God that you're serious, and God is going to prove to you that when you fast, he does take the pain of the no hunger, the food pain away. He takes it away. That's showing you that he is receiving your fast, receiving your prayers. Every Christian needs to have that experience. Also, being in a room of people that just completed a 3-day fast, water baptized, spirit baptized, taught on the prophecies, it's going to be an awesome time. And here's my point. It could very well be that sevenfold miracles begin at one of those crusades from July 29 to August 6. Why? Because if Israel is split, America is split, that's definitely judgment, and that could be happening as soon as the 1st of July. Our crusades start July 29. You see what I'm saying? As the judgment hits, so will my miracles. So I'm telling you right now, it's very important that you be to this crusade. Look, you stumbling across Prophecy Club, surely you understand that that was not just an accident. Surely you understand that God has a call on your life. And if you'll come and get trained and anointed and prepared, you can be a part of it. Doesn't mean necessarily have to be a part of it at our sevenfold miracle crusades at the sports stadiums. God will put you wherever he wants you to be. But one thing I do know, if you're listening right now, you are called to serve. And everybody needs training. Also, in preparation, I recommend you get some books. One is I recommend you go to prophecyclub.com. You need to have ordered and already read The Secret Door to Understand Bible Prophecy. I'm going to teach on that. That's very important. Next thing is you should have already read Miss the Mark. And it would be very nice if you can, if we can get it in time, to get Tribulation Secrets in Daniel. And also completed my last book, How Pre-Trib Won. How Pre-Trib Won. And both of those new ones, the Daniel book and also the Pre-Trib book, will be available at the crusade, but probably not before then because we're still trying to get, well, like the Pre-Trib book to the printer right now. Speaking of which, man, we need, I just was told, we need a new TriCaster. I know you don't understand what that is, but that is a piece of equipment that we need to link all of our cameras together. He's trying to get the very best price, but right now we're being told it's in the ballpark of $30,000. And why? Because we got to catch these miracles on videotape. If we can catch miracles on videotape, put it up on the internet, that will fill our crusades for the whole future. So we need money for books, we need money for the crusade, for the TriCaster, and we also need money for those TV spots that are going to be done here in the next week or so. So we need, he says, at least $5,000 just to get started. He says we should have a $75,000 budget. So if God has blessed you, if you'd like to help, now would be a really, really good time if you could do so. sevenfoldmiraclecrusades.com, books at prophecyclub.com. Thank you and God bless.